G'day there guys, me and Trousers back again, just to say that we hate the HOA, we hate all HOAs. Today we're covering r/JustnoHOA, a compilation of stories and tidbits and updates and whatever else comments that do not support HOAs because we hate them. Sit back, relax, chuck a prawn to the barbie and get ready to get angry at HOAs. Thank you. Our first post is by user Kai Tulu, titled HOA got entire subdivision banned from pizza delivery. So disclaimer, I did not live in this HOA, but I did live down the street. Okay, so we're gonna set the Wayback Machine to circa 2000 on this one. Gas is cheap, cell phones were small, and my Ford Escort got amazing gas mileage. As the now ex-wife and I were struggling with our bills, she decided that the easiest thing for her was for me to get a second job to try to catch up and then get something into savings. Having seen the sign in the window of the local pizza shop, which was named after a popular game played with small rectangular pieces that was advertising 12 to 16 an hour for drivers, that was a lie, she badgered me into applying. Fast forward a couple of months, and I've settled into my mind-numbing routine of working 60 to 70 hours a week at 2 jobs. On this particular day, I was scheduled to work on Saturday, which was hit or miss for tips. You see, our delivery area was very nouveau riche, combined with scattered groups of Florida rednecks. You would have a gated community with McMansions and BMWs right next to a trailer park. Oddly enough, the smaller the house and cheaper the car, the bigger the tip, which factors into the story. On this particular Saturday, a local homeowners association was throwing a pizza party for the residents. I think they were celebrating the last house being sold, or moving the HOA from the developer to the board, or something. Anyway, they ordered a ton of pizza. So much so that the manager had scheduled extra kitchen staff and had them show up an hour early just for this one order. He even gave them a discount on the pizza since they ordered so much. There were so many pies that it took myself and another driver 2 trips apiece to deliver it all. When we got the last boxes of pizza delivered, the manager wrote a check for the total, couple $100 and change, rounded up to the next dollar for our tip. So I left and went back to the store. The manager asked how much of a tip that I got, to which I replied 87 cents. He didn't believe me, so I showed him the check. He then asked me if I was messing with him, and if they had given me a cash tip. Nope. He went off. He walked over to the phone, called the manager of the HOA, cussed her out for not tipping his drivers after he had discounted the order and scheduled extra staff just for her order, and told her that he was entering the entire subdivision into the computer as do not deliver. He then hung up, opened the cash register, and gave each of us a $20 bill for a tip. To this day, I have no idea if any of the residents were ever able to order from that store. Now in the comments, I made this for things says, that is a cool boss. When I was the boss at Blacklisted Moving Pictures, many moons ago, yes, I'm old, a customer got mad over his late fees. He chucked his member card directly into my very pregnant employee's face. It actually struck her. Then quickly left the store. My employee was just sobbing. I comforted her and told her to go hang out in the office until she was ready to come back out. We ended up being very close friends, and still are, even though we are states and many years apart. What this jerk seemed to forget was, we knew his name, that linked to his account, which had all sorts of personal information on it, like address, phone, driver's license number. It was all caught on camera too. I then called the police to report an assault on an employee. He didn't get arrested, but he sure got talked to by the police, who I also knew. Run a video store in a small Texas town and you now know everyone. My husband would get annoyed at the grocery store due to people stopping me to talk. It even happened at the movie theater. "Do you know everybody?" he asked. Yes, I do, and they like me because I'm a nice person, winky face. Customers even followed me to the next video store chain that I worked at. The lesson is, don't F with a mama bear who cares about her employees. Agitars replies to that, we had a guy who cursed out over the phone one of my employees because we didn't have a movie in stock or something equally ridiculous, like way beyond the pale. Likewise, friends with local law enforcement and magistrates, and at that time in our state, that was a crime. Pressed charges, and guess what? The guy hired a good attorney and beat it. How? Because he's a junior, and the attorney made a case that it wasn't possible to prove which John Smith verbally assaulted her. Still, the cost of the attorney, who also didn't like them and later hinted that he charged them well, etc. I'd be tempted to think maybe he learned a lesson, but all he did was learn that at 25, he could still do stupid stuff while amounting to nothing and living at home with his parents, who would enable his nonsense. Another comment replying to the original post says, I used to work at a cash-only, fancy, sit-down pizzeria, and so many people would order bottles of wine and dessert and then be like, sorry, didn't bring enough cash, as their excuse to not tip. Glad your boss helped, of course. Be a shame if someone reported a driver that's been drinking as you watch them get into their car after the wine bottles. Would be a real shame. I mean, ultimately it's a matter of public safety, preventing drunk drivers and all, doing the world a favor by calling those folks in. And Semi-Teen-Up says, this is why I tip all my delivery people. I'm not a rich man, and especially now thanks to COVID, so I can't do a lot of delivery, which is probably a good thing for my overall health, but whatever. And even so, I always tip my delivery person. If I can't afford to give at least $2 for an order, I'm not ordering. And yes, $2 is a terrible tip, but at least it's not 87 cents. And I try my hardest to make sure that it's $5 or over 95% of the time. I hope that HOA collapsed because all the residents wanted pizza and couldn't get it thanks to their scumbag HOA overlords. Our next post is by user Rambo Robertsons 20, titled, Fake HOA Pretending They Are Real. Advice Wanted. So last month, my wife and I, newly married, moved into a community that had no HOA listed. We are both the DIY types and take care of our own property. Part of the reason we picked our house is it had a large corner backyard with RV parking on the side, a fair amount of workspace, and the community was also in a great condition considering no HOA was involved. One week in, we started redoing the kitchen cabinets. They were from the 70s and we wanted a more hardwood instead of the cheap wood that was installed. I would say the saw was on for 5 minutes when one of the neighbors came up to say that it's against HOA rules to do DIY improvements on my home. I obviously wondered what he was talking about, as I made absolutely sure there was no HOA before signing and moving in. He replied that they have a community HOA that would be in our best interest to join. I obviously said no and then went back to my saw. An hour later, the guy is back with a woman in business attire to hand me the rules and to have me sign the acknowledgement/entry papers, also to retain my $289 per month fee. Once again, I explained I'm not interested, nor do I care about their club. I see no reason to abide by their rules. I simply stated that I will keep my property maintained, and that's all they need to know. She gave me a few choice words and left. I thought all was done, but after being in his sub for a while, I knew that it might have been short-lived. Today, I received a fine for a leaky sprinkler. It leaked for all of 5 minutes past the timer at 4 a.m. One of these prunes has been watching my house at 4 a.m. I'm up at all hours of the day for work, so I was able to check. I know this is just the beginning. Important info. The HOA has not been registered, at least from what I can find. The board's members' names and signatures are listed in the back of the rules book. I've already started the paper trail just in case it gets worse, but would gladly take some advice for future dealings with this fake HOA. Edit. For more info, I'm in California. The cost of HOAs can go much higher than $289 a month. I've been noticing also that there isn't really anything for the HOA to maintain here. No pool, mainly cemented surfaces, the sidewalks have minor cracks, and the road hasn't been paved in at least 5 years. I'm wondering where the money from the 50+ homes here are going to. Well, the ones that joined anyways. Update. Because I've been lucky enough to have a slow day, I called my brother, and he's bringing over a signed cease and desist to be dated at my leisure. I'll hand it over during their next meeting. As recommended by a few in the comments, I will not be going to their cult meeting. I've checked my driveway cameras and didn't see anyone at all. I expected at least a dog walker, but I saw nothing. Both my wife and I read Reddit, and she wrote down contact numbers for various agencies, IRS and such. I hope it doesn't come to that. P.S. She has said no to the mural, but she'll let me drive my Mustang with a giant teddy bear as a passenger. Now in the comments, Can't Get Right 10 says, contact a lawyer and send them a cease and desist, which they've done. And let them know that if they keep it up, they are not going to like how you update your house. I'm thinking a giant mural on the side of the house of a bear riding a Mustang while playing an electric guitar with flamethrower would be a good example. And OP replies, I'd consider a bear in a 1967 Ford Mustang. You gotta learn to drive with a fear. There ain't nothing more frightening than driving with a live cougar in the car. If you're calm, that wondrous big cat will be calm too. But if you're scared, that beautiful death machine will do what God made it to do. Namely, eat you with a smile on its face. God damn it, Ricky Bobby. I would have taken the rules and then sawed through it and handed it back to them. Ah, give him the old Ron Swanson. $289 a month? What in the wide world of F? This is a really key point. Time to delve into finances. If they aren't registered, it's likely a whole fraudulent scheme that someone cooked up. That, monthly, for a house in a neighborhood with seemingly no amenities, is insanity. Yeah, Rambo Robertson's 20 should take the rules, photocopy the back for X times, and send a letter to every house in the neighborhood simply asking, if you joined this unregistered and illegal HOA, have you asked where your money has gone? Include evidence like the search screen showing the HOA wasn't found and such. Maybe $100 in supplies and a bit of time could potentially ruin some busybodies' lives. And I didn't think there would be one, but there is actually an update to this. Fake HOA pretending they are real. So I've received plenty of mail and comments asking for an update. Come on, it's been just over 2 weeks. I work 6 days a week. Anyways, what I've come across so far is, this is currently my wife's project as she is furloughed and I'm usually working 70 hours a week or more. I sent the cease and desist to their listed HOA president and have so far received nada. I've had the same neighbor bothering me about noises and HOA rules and blah blah blah. I've just been ignoring him on my Sundays. What may make a dent in this post though is that the fake HOA is a real HOA. It just doesn't have my or my block's homes included in its division. So I live along a main street. Houses are stretched along the street nearest to the division signs and entrances. The city recognizes us as a part of that division, but our homes were built back in the late 50s, long before the HOA was ever created. So our homes, 9, along the main street outside the division, are not included in the HOA's charter. The HOA can accept us into their HOA, but only as a voluntary resident in their division, hence the neighbor's harassment. The only one that I've talked to in our 9 homes to join was that one neighbor. The pricing was said to me wrong. It was $200 for me to join as a standard fee. Why I would pay to join what I don't want to is beyond me, and then $89 a month. It is more reasonable, but I'm not interested in joining a community cult. My wife did make a report with the IRS, but she hasn't heard anything back from them. Since they are a real HOA, they're likely up to date on their taxes, but my wife is thinking that if they're trying to bring our homes into their HOA, that they are not originally listed on the HOA registry, that they may not be paying their dues for the home that they brought into the HOA. Possibly a quick update on that later. Anyways, that's all she's got for now. And in the comments, Fetaturt says, thanks for the update. I don't really get these people. The breakdown as I see it is this. You move into a non-HOA home, you start renovations, and they harass you for breaking HOA rules, then continue to harass you about breaking rules, then try and get you to pay them to harass you monthly? How did they ever think that was a solid plan? It's hilarious that they're trying to get you to join their HOA by harassing you about stuff on your own property. Why wouldn't that work? Beats me. Thanks for the update. I've been wondering about this for a while. The cease and desist will hopefully help get the point that you are not interested. If this continues and they insist that you're part of their HOA cult, you can go back on the seller and/or the title company for not disclosing the HOA. Best of luck. Hopefully the kitchen comes out beautiful. Something similar happened to my family decades ago when I was a kid and we had a vacation home in the Poconos, mountains in PA. I was really young, so I'm not sure of all the details, but basically, a huge country club was built across the lake from us, and suddenly an HOA was created. They started by trying to be charming and enticing. My family said no. They tried nicely a few more times, and it eventually turned into harassment, and lawyers were brought in. And then eventually they left us alone. When the property was sold, we were able to include in the sale that the house was not under the HOA. The new owner never joined. He was only using it as a hunting and fishing cabin and didn't care about amenities. I'm not sure if he's still the owner, but once the property is in the HOA, it's impossible to get out of. And our next post is by user QuackSK, titled, "Bought a condo, was not given the full pet policy before purchase. Can they make me get rid of my dog?" Okay, so I purchased my first home, a condo. I have a dog, she's about 40 pounds. As a responsible dog owner, I mentioned to the realtor I have a dog. I mentioned it at the open house to the other realtor that I have a dog, and I also asked him if there are let restrictions. Me knowing the area, read the bylaws of the condo HOA to learn about their pet policy. There was nothing about breed or size restrictions. Basically just only one dog per unit, she can't be barking all night, and I have to clean up her poop. Cool. This place still works. About a week later, I sign the papers, and it's mine. I talked to someone from the COA yesterday, and she informs me that their pet policy was changed a while ago, and only dogs under 30 pounds are allowed. I informed her I was not told this information. If I was, I obviously would not have made the purchase, and it's not in their bylaws. She even admitted they need to make it clear to buyers. Apparently they emphasize it with renters. Are they allowed to say that my dog is not allowed? I'm seriously considering not even moving in and reselling. Leaving my dog is not an option. Now in the comments, Zella293 says, "This crap is why I hate HOAs. You own the condo and should be allowed to do whatever the F you want with it. And you pay so much for the privilege of getting to live in this hell. I'm trying to move out, but I can't find a place with HOA fees that are under $100. It's crazy. I get HOA fees in a condo or a subdivision with amenities like a pool, gym, and park. The fees to pay the upkeep of these features that made the sub desirable in the first place need to exist. The only problem is, when those places also have rules about plants, door colors, etc., then it's a bunch of crap. Can confirm. My HOA required me to take photos of me standing and holding every single paint sample against the door, trim, siding, and shutters to approve my paint proposal. I was painting my house the same color. Waste of time I wouldn't do just on principle. Just start painting and making them feel stupid if they come and ask. Yeah, then they fine you $1,000. They make it to where it's really painful if you don't follow. Now, granted, they'd have to catch me. Best part of that ordeal is they sent me a violation for not pressure washing my house, which was on the proposal, to paint the house, which they were sitting on because they needed paint swatches. Another time, I was fined for leaving my trash cans in an unapproved place. They sent me a photo of me bringing my trash cans to the sidewalk for trash day. I had set them down to get extra recycling and was just in frame coming out with more trash. I hate this HOA. They make it to where everything is so complicated, no one wants to do anything to improve anything. I don't see how they can enforce a policy that is not codified in writing. I'd start looking into other issues with the HOA so that you can throw any issues in their face with a, "Do you want to play this bullcrap game?" For instance, our bylaws, not sure on state law, require a certain number of owners to vote in board elections for them to be valid. We haven't had sufficient participation in all the time I've lived here. We also do not have a legally sufficient reserve fund. So if I ever have an issue with the HOA, I have ammo. Get ammo. And do you want to play this bullcrap game? Well, I have cracks in my stucco. Home, not condo, from the previous 2 owners. I raised one issue with the HOA, and suddenly my 2-tone roof, from a repair that didn't qualify a full roof replacement, and the cracks along the ground are an issue. My resolution was, took pictures of every house with the same cracks, leaving out house numbers. This issue comes from when HO started filling the gap from foundation and frame. Every roof with a mismatch repair, every code violation in the 2 community areas and pool were reported on a separate ticket to the county and state health department. Controls the pool. They reopened the pool, but not the bathrooms during the COVID reopening, notified county and state health departments. They left their trash can out for more than 24 hours after pickup, which is a violation, took a picture and reported on their compliance site. Golf carts are illegal in the area. County laws, not theirs, they use them to roam the neighborhood, which I then reported to the sheriff. If they keep harassing me, I'm going to enforce the massive fine they owe me for never setting up a time to review the books to find where $30,000 went missing after they acknowledged my request. 9 months ago. The state has daily fines for this. I just haven't had the energy to deal with it, or the extra money for the fees they will charge me for copying, or the cost for an attorney to find them. And edit, if you're going to go toe-to-toe with the HOA, make sure you read your state statutes inside and out. There may be fines for not having reserve funds, but that would also likely lead to an increase in your dues or discovering fraud in the organization. And one more comment by Oil Slick Rick Rubin says, "Unless they want to come out and weigh your dog, I would go about my business and not care. Your dog is 40 pounds and they allow 30 pounds. If asked, I'd just say that she or he is 30 pounds. And back to the post, OP leaves an update, saying, "Contacted my realtor, who is also a family friend. She said, pay the move-in fee, even though that's normally only a thing when an elevator is involved, and just to go with the new parking policy. But just follow what the docs I got sent say. They might be out of date, but that's a massive oversight on the COA. She is willing to go with me to any meetings they force me into for breaking the bylaws, especially my dog being over the weight limit that did not exist. She looked back over the documents and had her husband look over them also. He's a realtor, and he's on the selling end of things because she thought the change in policies was weird too, especially when I pointed out the last resolutions to the bylaws were put in place in 2009. So I guess we'll see what they say about my dog and the changes I'm doing on the interior of my place, but I should be allowed to follow those documents. And my dog, even if she was 100 pounds, should be allowed to stay. If they question it, I have a leg to stand on. Still puts a salty taste in my mouth. Do they not expect buyers to read the docs? Alright guys, that's the end of the video. Friendly reminder that I'm now posting daily on my second channel, Markee 2. If you want to laugh at memes with me, link is down in the description below. On phone, you just click that little arrow underneath the video. I also want to say thank you to all my channel members and Patreon subscribers. Your names are currently floating down the screen here, and I love to see all of you guys. Thank you for joining me on this journey. Thank you for supporting me. I really appreciate it. If you see yourself on screen, I want you to give yourself a big pat on the back for being amazing as always, and thank you for supporting me again. I do hope that you guys have a good day, night, sleep, whatever it is you're up to. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.